From our teaching kitchen at the Grand Rapids Downtown Market, this is the Plant Powered Challenge 2022, brought to you by Spectrum Health's Lifestyle Medicine Team.
Hello, and welcome to the Plant Powered Party Cooking Demonstration. Who's ready to party? I'm Elizabeth Suvedi, Manager for Culinary Medicine at Spectrum Health. I'm excited to introduce to you today Raul Ortiz. Raul graduated from the Grand Rapids Community College Secchi Institute for Culinary Education in 2016. While learning about cultures and food is important to him, so is advocating for equitable access to food in our community. As the volunteer coordinator for the Community Food Club, he's able to be actively engaged in our community. Raul's passions for cooking stems from his Mexican-American culture. He has been able to experience his Mexican-American culture through food. We are excited to have you in the kitchen, Raul. I'm looking forward to making a few of my favorite recipes to bring to a party. We'll be making avocado and sweet potato crostinis, quinoa lettuce wraps with a spicy peanut dressing, and some mocktails. Everyone has worked so hard throughout this entire plant-powered challenge, and we're excited to celebrate with all of you today in this final cooking demonstration. All right, well, we are here with Raul, and it is time for us to get cooking. Time to get ready for our party. Welcome, Raul.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, I'd say that we start with some mocktails first to do a nice toast and cheers to everyone's hard work throughout this plant-powered challenge. It's super exciting. Everyone's made it through the 30 days, and now it's time for us to celebrate with some mocktails and some appetizers. So with that, Raul, you have brought a super special mocktail that you want to show people, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and you can show us what you're going to make today.
Yes, thank you. Today, I brought a few ingredients to make a Peruvian drink called Chicha Morada. Chicha Morada is a national drink of Peru. It is made by simmering chicha, which is the corn, purple corn, cloves, cinnamon, the skins of one pineapple, the skins of one apple, and let's get started. So first we could take our corn, put it right in the pot that we're gonna work with. This corn I bought at on Burton Meat Market. It's a product of Peru. Next, I'm going to start by peeling my apple.
Now, when's the first time you've had this beverage?
So I was talking about this beverage with a coworker of mine. His name is Oscar. He is originally from Peru. And we talk about a lot of different things about our culture, our history, kind of the foods that we used to grow up with and the foods of the past. So this is a dish that we came across this week while we were talking. And it is, like I said, it's a national dish. We start off with the peels.
And what I love is you're using that whole apple. So I know you're putting the peel in that's going to be simmered, and then you'll use the apple later. So that's great to see that kind of use of all of the produce. Oh, and pineapple, that looks delicious. Pineapples are in season right now and nice and ripe and juicy, hopefully. And Raul, you and I have something in common, I believe. I think we're both graduates of the Grand Rapids Culinary School, the Secchi Institute for Culinary Education. You graduated a few years ago, I believe.
2016, yes.
Awesome.
Then we put 1 cinnamon stick and 6 cloves. All right. I put in my peel of 1 apple, 1 pineapple, clove, cinnamon, and corn. So we're just going to bring this up. With this recipe, I am going to add 6 quarts of water. It is going to be simmered. It's going to be boiled, then simmered. So it might lose a quart and a half.
I'm excited to try this later. I have never had this beverage before, so I'm looking forward to tasting it with you. Oh wow, look at that. That looks wonderful.
So it's gonna simmer for about an hour to an hour and a half. You're really looking for that dark, deep purple. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put this behind me to let it simmer.
Oh wow, that looks great. I'm excited to try that. All right, well, I'm going to share a mocktail that I enjoy with all of you. So it's pretty easy and simple, which is one reason why I absolutely love it. It is a fruit juice spritzer, and we will share this recipe with everybody. So I just have a container here with some ice in it. I'm gonna put some cinnamon sticks in because I wanna add a little bit of spice to it. I also wanna add some orange slices. So I have an orange here. I can either just zest the outside or I could just put some slices in. And I did notice that the top is a little bit small, so I may actually cut these in half a little bit. And with orange slices, you really don't need to put very much in. They really have a lot of flavor in them. So I'm gonna just put these 4 half slices in here. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is add in a little bit of cranberry juice. I like cranberry juice because it's not very high in added sugars. There aren't any added sugars. And on its own, it's a naturally kind of lower sweetened beverage. And then also just some unsweetened carbonated water. Just kind of gives it a little of that zing that I like in a beverage. And essentially, this is it. It's as simple as that. I'll probably let this sit in the refrigerator for maybe an hour or so to allow time for the oranges to really kind of get that flavor all throughout and that cinnamon to kind of really spread out and to have a great flavor. So this is a great example of a fun drink for a party where you just make it like this. It's simple, and then we'll pour it in a glass and have this as a beverage. But before I do that, Raul, I think you have one more beverage you're going to share with us today for our mocktail session.
I do, yes. So the second thing I'm going to make is a cucumber water, and we're going to start by grabbing our blender base. Now this is a drink that we're going to put all in a blender and serve over ice. I'm going to start by slicing 1 whole cucumber.
You can definitely see those chef skills coming out there on that cutting board.
We have 2 tablespoons of agave. The recipe calls for honey, but I wanted to do agave just to showcase a little bit of ingredients and things that found in the deserts of Mexico. It is a desert succulent which has these really large, really spiky leaves on top. And what we do is we'll take off all of the spikes on top to get to the core. The core is what is really has a really rich sap, and we take that sap and we cook it. We cook the sugars down to make the agave. It is a little bit sweeter, about 1.5 times sweeter than regular table sugar, so we can use less of it.
Terrific. That sounds great.
All right, and then we're going to go ahead and juice 1 lime.
I love this. It's very simple, too, what you're making. It's not like there's lots of ingredients. It's not very complex. I think that's helpful for people when they're in a hurry and they maybe want a little refreshing beverage, but don't have a lot of time to make something. Awesome. That looks so refreshing. Looks delicious.
The mint leaves, I'm just going to go ahead and pluck right in. I need about 4 large ones. It's going to be 1, 2. Count that as 3, 4. Got it.
That looks great with the mint there. Mint is one of the plants I can actually grow in my home where I have a mint pot at home, and then I have the mint growing, and as I need, I just pull some of the leaves off, each week, and then it just keeps growing. So that's a nice one that people can have in their homes too, to kind of add some of that added refreshing flavor to whether it's your beverages or to any other dishes you're cooking with in your home. So right. Cool. Well, let's see. It's going to be all mixed up now, I think.
All right. Looks 2.5 cups of water at the end. And we're just going to mix.
All right. Get ready for the noise. Here we go. Woo. Look at that beautiful pop of green color. I love it. Looks gorgeous. Nice and refreshing. That's a great thing to give to maybe kids if they're picky eaters, don't want a lot of vegetables. It's a nice way to kind of blend it up like that for them.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, what do you say? Should we pour our beverages in our glasses and do a little toast? All right. So to the Plant Powered Challenge, we have a nice little fruit juice spritzer and a cucumber water with a little bit of lime and agave.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, that looks delicious. All right, cheers, Raul, before we start cooking.
Cheers.
To health and happiness.
To health and happiness, thank you.
It's delicious.
That's delicious. What I wanted to also showcase was the agave, because we have mocktails here with us. So instead of using tequila, which is also made from the agave plant. We have here the agave syrup. So it is still another way we can enjoy this plant, and it has multiple uses, many uses from it. So
wonderful. That sounds so great. Well, thank you, Raul. And I think now we got to start cooking or we're never going to get a chance to eat. So with that, we'll start with our the avocado and sweet potato crostini. I'd like us to get the sweet potatoes in the oven so they can start roasting while we work on some of the other aspects of these recipes. So with that, there's 4 sweet potatoes. Maybe you might have 3 or 4 sweet potatoes. It calls for 2, but these were on the smaller side, so we have more of them. And essentially what I'm going to do is the ends that are a little bit smaller, I'm going to cut those off. And then I'm just going to slice these into about, I would say maybe 3/4 inch size pieces. And we're going to roast them in the oven, actually maybe more like 1/2 inch size, because the smaller you cut them, they're going to roast a little bit quicker, and we don't want them to be too large of pieces. This is a great recipe for somebody maybe who's trying to, if maybe they need something gluten-free, rather than using a baguette, we're using the sweet potatoes, which will serve as the base for this appetizer. So why don't we go ahead and just chop these up, and then we'll get them right in the oven. And when we put them in the oven, we're not going to put any oil on them. They roast really nice just on their own. They've got those natural sugars in them. So we'll throw them in the oven. I did already heat the oven for us to 425 degrees. So people want to make sure they do that before they start making this particular appetizer. Raul, do you eat many sweet potatoes at home?
yes, we love sweet potatoes.
How do you like to prepare them?
Well, I love to add a little bit of, so I roast them in the oven, and then I like making a sweet chili honey to just drizzle right on top of them.
Ooh.
Super good, super just quick, and it's a quick and easy sauce to make. I don't really like hiding the tastes, the flavor of sweet potato. I want to showcase it and then add to it.
It sounds delicious. All right, so once we have those sliced, in the center we have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Whenever you're ready, you can grab that. And then I'm just going to lay these out on the baking sheet so they can roast nice and easily. And this is a nice recipe too, where you could make this ahead of time. So if you were having people coming over, or going to be taking this to a party, you could roast these ahead of time. They don't really have to be warm when you serve them. And then you can just pull them out of the refrigerator. You could make the avocado mixture a little bit ahead of time, although not too early because you don't want the avocados to brown. And then you could peel, we're going to peel some pomegranate today, which some of you may or may not be experienced with, but we'll show you how to do that. And it just kind of comes together in a really great kind of color combination. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these in the oven and get them roasting. They'll roast for about 20 minutes in total. I'll flip them after about 10 minutes. All right, the sweet potatoes are in the oven. Now we're going to finish up working on the quinoa lettuce wrap. So I want to get that quinoa cooking. When you're cooking at home, you need to kind of think about the time of when things need to be done by and what takes longer to cook. So the quinoa takes about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. So let's go ahead and we have a small saucepan here, and let's add, we've got about 2/3 cup of water. We're going to put that in the small saucepan along with some quinoa. So we have a 1/2 cup of quinoa that's uncooked. We'll put that in there. And then let's turn that up to probably like a high temperature just to get the water boiling. And then once it boils, we can then turn it down to kind of like a slow simmer and we'll cover it up. So we'll let that come up to a boil, and then when it does, we'll shout out, and then we'll turn that down. But in the meantime, let's get all the other items ready. So grab a bowl. We have a medium-sized bowl here that we'll chop up some bell pepper and put that in there. So this recipe I really enjoy. One, it just tastes amazing. And it's one that I like to take to parties because I completely prep it ahead of time. So this quinoa mixture we're making with the bell pepper and the cilantro, I would get that all ready to go. I make the dressing ahead of time. I have the lettuce that I bring to the party, and then I just usually ask if I'm going to someone's house, I ask to borrow a platter, and I put it all out there and on display. I like to sometimes also add a slice of avocado, and so it just looks really pretty. It tastes great, and you kind of get it set up, and you can walk away and go enjoy time with your guests. So, all right, let's chop this bell pepper. So the way that I tend to chop a bell pepper, I show people, is I take and I put it face down. If there's a little bit of a stem on the top, I'll cut that off. And then I just try to cut around that seed structure. And so just kind of by moving it around, I slice it off. And you know, Raul, you went through culinary school, and so there's obviously many ways to slice bell peppers, and you may have your own way that you want to showcase and show people about how you chop bell peppers.
So what I like to do is take just the top and the bottom off, and then I kind of get my knife in this little groove, and then I work my way around that core, cutting. All right, so now we have the core out, and then I like to just cut this into thirds.
And for today's recipe, we're gonna need about half a cup of bell pepper. So about half of the bell pepper we can dice up, and then we'll put about that amount in the bowl. So my other sections I'm gonna save for later. Those will be good to snack on as a good snack, because later we have some hummus I'm excited to share with everybody that is not your normal traditional hummus. It's got an extra awesome flavor to it that we added that we'll share with everyone in just a bit. All right, it looks like my quinoa is starting to boil, so I'm gonna cover it, and then I'm gonna turn the temperature down just to make sure that it cooks, but not, we don't lose all the water boiling off of it. All right, the next thing we need to chop up is some red onion. So again, for red onion, we have a whole red onion here. We only need about a quarter of it. So I'm actually just gonna cut off like a side of the red onion because I don't wanna expose all of it. So I'm just gonna slice off a small portion of one side. The rest of the onion, I'll just set that aside because we don't need that today. And we can just save that for another recipe. And then I'm gonna take out that outer peel. And then from here, we can then dice this up. So Raul, you have a really cool job. You kind of oversee all the volunteers at Community Food Club. Could you maybe tell people a little about what is Community Food Club for people that maybe have never heard of it?
Yeah, so we are a nonprofit running a grocery store, the Community Food Club. It is a store right off of Hall and Division, and we serve our members who live under the poverty line. It's 150 to 200%, and it really is, you know, our members of the community who lack access to fresh produce and fresh vegetables. So what we do is we take the concept of think of it as like a Costco or a Sam's, where you're paying for a membership, and in return you get perks for that membership. So at the Community Food Club, we do not charge anybody for product, we charge them for a membership, and in return they get points to shop with, and with those points is what they use to buy the things that they need for their households. They can take their bread, their eggs, fruits, vegetables, any canned products, meats that we have, so all for points. So it really comes down to we're getting our members about 11 days worth of food, which turns out to be about $100 worth of food.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have had the privilege of volunteering there at Community Food Club. When I first got connected through some grant work that we do, I had not heard of Community Food Club. I went there, I visited with AJ, and I met a lot of the great team there, Oscar and Raul that work there, and I started volunteering with my son, and I love it. It really, to me, follows a lot of the mission of what I'm trying to do around encouraging people to eat more whole plant-based foods. They have lots of great examples where they might have lentils on display and they might have an explanation of like, what are lentils? How do you cook with them? Why are they good for you? And they have that kind of all throughout the store. So for anyone who has never been there, I highly encourage you to stop there, go in, check it out. It's really neat to see. I know you guys always, I get the monthly notices about volunteering, so I know you guys are always looking for more volunteers there. I'm sure as well donations. So it's just a great organization to either maybe give of your time or also for people who maybe need resources like that in the community. It's a great organization to reach out to. There is a lot of great produce there, and I think it's really a neat model that you have. So I'm glad that you guys are able to do that work in this community. So thank you, Raul. All right, so we've got the bell pepper chopped up. We're finishing up chopping up the red onion. So we're gonna add the red onion to the bowl. And then the next thing we're gonna work on is chopping up a little bit of cilantro. So we want about 2 tablespoons of cilantro. So we'll grab that from our colander that we rinsed earlier. And we'll just kind of roughly chop that up. So I use the stem and the leaves with the cilantro. I think it all tastes great. It's all great nutrients. And so we'll just kind of chop that up as best we can, and we'll put that in to our bowl as well. This is one I oftentimes, because I like cilantro so much, I tend to put in a lot more than the recipe calls for. When you're cooking and you're thinking about, should I add more vegetables or not? The answer always is yes. You're always more than welcome to add more. Just think about, though, will it change the profile of the flavors? So if you've got a certain spice ratio and you're following a recipe, you may want to be conscious that you're not changing the ingredients too much, because then the flavor might not be as good as what the recipe was written for. So just keep that in mind when you're cooking. All right, a little bit of garlic. We're going to put about 1 clove of garlic in. So I have a garlic clove here. You can either like put it underneath your cutting board and lean into it to kind of pop the peel off of it. Or you can take your knife and put it on its side and then just lean in this way, and that kind of cracks that peel right off of that garlic clove. I prefer using the fresh garlic. I find it lasts for a while if I buy it and keep it at home. It doesn't really go bad. And I store it in my refrigerator and then just kind of pull cloves off of the head of garlic as I need them. So we're just going to chop this up. I tend to chop it a little bit more finely when I'm putting it in something that's raw. If it's going to be in a cooked dish, then I might not be so worried about chopping it as small. So we'll mince this up. How's it going, Raul? How's your garlic mincing going?
Oh, you're ahead of me. I just got to the garlic.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you'll show us how you like to peel the garlic cloves. Do you have a way that you prefer?
A way that I prefer to peel garlic. Well, I just like to smash it with my chef's knife and then transfer over to my little knife here. Paring knife. There you go.
I love these colors are coming together so nicely. I'm just peeking on my quinoa. I'm actually going to turn it up a little bit. I think I turned it down too much earlier. Well, this is always a fun one. And we would love to hear from all of you that are watching. What appetizers do you guys like to make? What do you enjoy making? All those plant-powered appetizers, put them in the chat. We'd love to hear about them. It inspires others to hopefully try some of the different recipes. We've got a wide variety of recipes within the culinary medicine program. They're all listed on our website. So if you ever need new ideas for recipes, you certainly can go to our website for Spectrum Health Culinary Medicine, where the recipes are listed there. We also try to put a lot of them on our Facebook page within Lifestyle Medicine. And so it's a good spot to kind of keep on that Facebook page to see what's there, are there new recipes, and we just like to share all kinds of great tips and ideas for everyone on that page. All right, how's that garlic coming along?
Oh, we're great. All right.
All right. It's almost like we're making a little salsa here or something. We've got this great color.
Looks so colorful already, flavorful.
All right, are you ready to put in some lime juice?
Yes.
All right, so we're also going to add 1 lime. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this lime in half. We'll go back to this kind of juicer squeezer that we have, and I'll put the lime, the cut side facing down in there, and then just give this a little bit of a squeeze. If you want, you can be precise and measure it out. Sometimes I find the great way in cooking is just you taste it. So you put it all together and then you give it a taste with a tasting spoon, and you can decide, does it need a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that? So there we go. We got some lime juice in there. And now we're going to add a little bit of black pepper. So it calls for 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. If you know you like things spicy, you could also add maybe a jalapeno in here. You could add some red pepper flakes. That's what I like to add a lot of times. Or you could just put more, really of any kind of spices that you like in here. All right, so this is all ready. Basically what we're gonna wait for is we're gonna set this aside, because what we need is the quinoa that's cooking. So in a few more minutes, the quinoa will be done. So let's set this aside and let's make the dressing, the sauce for this. All right, so we're gonna take a small little bowl and a whisk, and then we'll put in all the ingredients in here. All right, I'm getting hungry. This is going to be hard to wait, but we will hold off till the end to try everything. All right, so in our small little bowl, along with our whisk, we're going to add a little bit of maple syrup. We'll put in 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. This just adds a little bit of a sweetness to it. We're also going to put in some soy sauce. We have 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce that we'll add in. I'd recommend using like a low sodium soy sauce so that you're not putting as much of that sodium in there. And then we're going to put some peanut butter in. You may need to grab a tasting spoon, Raul, to get the peanut butter out. So if you don't like peanut butter, you could use an almond butter or a sun butter. You could also use some tahini if you wanted. Tahini is just ground up sesame seeds. So depending on what you enjoy eating, you can, when you're cooking at home, you can put whatever you want in and just kind of go with that. All right, so let's go ahead and add a lime to this as well. So like we did before, we're just going to cut this in half. And then we'll juice this lime right into our sauce here. All right. And a lot of this is just encouraging people to make their own dressings and sauces. When I make this sauce, I'll often double the batch. And then we're going to show you the fancy way to eat this today, where we put it out nicely in lettuce cups. But just know that a lot of times I'll just mix it all together and eat it kind of like a salad, where I chop up the lettuce and mix it with the quinoa and bell pepper mixture. All right, and then the last thing is we're going to add a little bit of hot sauce. So I've got a little Frank's Red Hot Sauce here. When you do add hot sauce to things, please be mindful of what the ingredients are in the hot sauce. So you want to read the labels. Things like sriracha have a lot of ingredients you probably can't pronounce. Probably not the things you want to be putting into your body. So where like a Frank's Red Hot Sauce is essentially hot peppers and vinegar. So just keep that in mind, so that way you're aware of what you're eating and reading food labels. We really encourage that within culinary medicine. All right, so now let's get that whisk out. Let's whisk it all together. You could also put this, if you had like a little mini blender or food processor, you could mix it that way. Sometimes I do it that way just because it goes really quick and blends it up quickly. But a whisk works just as well to kind of bring it all together. And yeah, this packs like a great punch. Like I said, I add red pepper flakes to this. Raul, do you like spicy foods, or do you like things more on
yeah, I agree,
okay.
yes.
He's like, oh yeah, for sure.
I grew up eating spice. Spice in our house is, we don't call spicy, we call spice flavor. We add flavor to a dish that brings everything out. You see somebody crying, ooh, why, what happened? It's spicy, it's really, really good.
Yes, I'm with you. I definitely like the flavor. To me, it like just completes the flavor of things. So, okay, so my quinoa is not quite cooked yet, so I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, but I think that we probably could tackle peeling a pomegranate in the meantime. How are you feeling about peeling a pomegranate?
Let's do it.
All right, so Raul and I were talking earlier, there are many different ways in which you can peel a pomegranate. So I'm gonna demonstrate one method, and he will demonstrate the other. And you can decide which method you want to try at home, or maybe you have your own way of peeling them, of which, again, I would love to hear you share with us. How do you peel pomegranates when you peel them at home? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you just have never tackled them, and hopefully after this you will. So let's go ahead and grab, I have a large bowl here. And I'm going to show my method first, Raul, and then I will turn it over to you and have you show us your method. And we'll let people kind of decide how they want to do it going forward. All right, I'm going to fill my bowl up with some water, and this just helps so that it doesn't splash when I'm peeling it. All right, so the way I'm going to peel this pomegranate is I'm going to take this paring knife, I'm going to put it in the center, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a twist. And when I give it a twist, it just kind of cracks open like that. And then I basically just work in this bowl to peel off the outer peel and let those pieces fall right into the water. And this is the method, I learned this a couple years ago, and it's the one that I tend to go to the most for peeling a pomegranate. One, that I don't end up with a bunch of splatters of pomegranate all over my face and arms when I'm done. And then my son, actually, a lot of times, my 12-year-old, he likes to peel pomegranate quite a bit. So he'll peel quite a bit at one time. And at the end, the water, all the juice from the water is in there, and he'll drink it. He calls it pomegranate tea. I don't know that it's really any kind of real tea, but he enjoys drinking it that way. And I just enjoy the fact that he has spent a bunch of time peeling a bunch of pomegranates that I get to eat out of a bowl, almost like it's just cereal. So it's a snack that I enjoy snacking on. And they're definitely seasonal. They kind of come and go. This is the season for them right now, where you can get them at the store. But in the summer, you really can't find them so much. So essentially, this is it. I'm just going to keep peeling these and letting them fall into the bowl. And Raul, I would love to have you show us your technique.
Yes, all right. Let's get started. All right, I'm gonna start by just taking the top so I can expose the pomegranate in the middle. So what I like to do is to keep the membranes here, 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 and here connected while also trying to cut around it. So I'm gonna cut outside of it, but not all the way. I'm just gonna get a little cut about 3/4 of the way, but it's still intact.
Do you eat much pomegranate, Raul?
You know, I don't. It's not something that I have normally at the house.
For a while, it was such a craze. There was like pomegranate water or pomegranate juice, pomegranate everything. And I think now they even sell it in the stores where it's already peeled.
All right, so now that I have here connected, it's still connected, but it is separated. And what I like to do is just let it go and start hitting. Part of what I learned in culinary school is kind of the pizzazz that you give to an experience. Everybody is, loves to go out to eat, but they also enjoy a good experience. And this is something that you can learn, do at the house, and somebody who's never opened or eaten a pomegranate, this is a nice, bam, give it a good whack. Bam, there it is. And you're able to keep the skin intact while having the pomegranates just fall right out. See, we got a little bit. That's still okay. We got a little bit more to go. All right.
All right, well, I just drained the water off of my pomegranate, and then I'm just gonna move it into the bowl. I have a small little bowl. I'm not sure if you do, if it just kind of appeared from another, I think this actually was my quinoa bowl, but I'm just putting it in here just to move it out of this larger bowl. And essentially, this is gonna be our garnish for our avocado and sweet potato crostinis later. This pomegranate is actually a beautiful garnish for so many things because it just really has a nice pop of color. And this is probably one of my favorite fruits to have, maybe because it's only offered every so often during the year, or just kind of has that nice juiciness when you bite into a bite of pomegranate. Oh, how's our quinoa doing? Mine is done. How about you?
Oh, yeah.
All right, awesome. So we'll set that pomegranate aside. I do want to, with this quinoa, it's definitely cooked. All the water has been absorbed. I like cooking with quinoa. It's actually a seed, but what I find with it is that it doesn't take very long to cook. So it cooks really quickly and it's very forgiving. So if you put too much water in, it's not like people ever say like, oh, that quinoa is too soggy or something. It goes in whatever dish, kind of absorbs the flavor of whatever you're putting in there. So we can go ahead and mix this in with our mixture of the bell peppers and the onions. We'll stir that in. All right.
Another fun fact about quinoa is indigenous to the parts of what is Peru and Bolivia, the parts of the Andes Mountains. This grows right off of it. And quinoa has been part of the ancient civilizations of South America for generations.
Awesome. All right, so why don't we, I'd say why don't we show people how to assemble our quinoa lettuce wraps, and then we can set them aside, and then we'll finish up with our avocado and sweet potato crostinis. All right, let's go ahead and assemble the quinoa lettuce wraps. So there is some romaine lettuce in the colander there, and essentially we've washed this, and now we're just looking for some really nice leaves that kind of would make some nice cups that we wrap up these quinoa lettuce wraps in. You could use other types of lettuce as well. This one I find it's usually easy to find at the grocery store, but sometimes I'll use some of the other varieties of lettuce. And I'm gonna go ahead and put 4 on the plate, and then what we'll do is we'll put some of that quinoa mixture in each of them. And then once we put that in there, then we'll drizzle a little bit of that sauce on top. And like I mentioned, this is great for making it ahead of time. You could bring the lettuce, you could bring this quinoa mixture in a bowl, and bring the sauce maybe like in a little jar or something, and then just assemble it right in front of people. They're gonna be drooling as you're doing this because they're gonna wanna eat some. Do you like to cook with quinoa much, Raul?
You know what? I do. Quinoa, I love quinoa because it is a staple of the indigenous peoples of South America. Quinoa grows wild by the Andes Mountains, the regions that are Peru, Bolivia, and Chile. It comes from the goosefoot plant. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. You're like an encyclopedia of knowledge on all these great things of all these ingredients we're cooking with today. All right, so let's go ahead and put that dressing on, and we'll just kind of drizzle it on top of the lettuce wraps. And look at that. Oh my goodness. I think we might have to try one before we move on to the next appetizer. What do you think, Raul?
Yes. We need more refreshers too.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, should we take a little bite, give one a try, see what you think of your hard work? Little celebration appetizer together. Beautiful quinoa
Cheers.
lettuce wrap. All right. Cheers. Salud. Oh, so crunchy, sweet, savory. What do you think, Raul?
This is great, yeah. That peanut sauce really just brings everything out.
Oh, wow. That's good. All right. I'm excited to try some more of that later. All right. Well, why don't we finish up with our avocado sweet potato crostinis. The sweet potato crostinis are done. All right. Let's get those sweet potatoes out of the oven and see if they're done. Oh, yes. They're definitely done. They look gorgeous. Beautiful orange color. So now we'll use these to assemble our appetizer. And we have a wooden plank that we'll use to assemble our appetizer on. So you can take some of these, we don't have to do all of them, but maybe 5 or 7. Usually in the culinary world, it's always those odd numbers, right, that we like to use. So let's see, I've got one more. We'll make 7. And we're going to assemble these here. And now what we need to do is we need to make the avocado mixture that's going to go on top of this. So I'm going to set the rest of my tray aside. And so I have some more workspace to work on. And I'll just put this in front of me. And then we've got a bowl here with an avocado and some cilantro that we need to prepare. So, Raul, how do you feel about avocados? Do you like them, love them?
You know, it's funny you should ask. I remember growing up, I hated avocados. I'm Mexican American, so when people hear that, I go, what? It was a texture thing for me, but as I grew up, eating more and more of it, go, wow, my palate really did change. I love avocados now. Avocado, everything.
All right, well, let's get right into avocado everything. So to cut this avocado, I'm just going to kind of rock my knife around the outside of this avocado to break open the peel, and then I'll just give it a little twist and it just kind of pops open. You never really know what you're going to find on the inside when you open up an avocado. So this one looks like it's a nice ripe one. And from here, I'm just going to scoop out the inside and put it in this small bowl here, and then we'll mash it up. And this is a recipe, you know, when people are cooking, you don't often have always a lot of time. And so this recipe is a really nice, simple, easy appetizer. Now I'm trying to use the spoon to scoop out this pit. It's not working very well, so I'm going to try the other technique, which is I hit the pit with it, and then I just kind of give it a little bit of a twist, and then it pops out like that. And then I can just bang it on the edge of the counter, and that pit just falls right off. So that's how I tend to pull that pit out. And then now we'll just finish scooping out the rest of this avocado. And avocados, they don't ripen until after they're picked from the trees. So that's, I think, always something interesting that a lot of people don't know. So once they're picked, then they start to ripen. So it's kind of nice for avocado farmers. They can kind of gauge things a bit based on when they need to get those avocados off the tree or leave them on for a little bit longer. All right, we're going to put a little bit of lemon in here, and we're going to use the lemon zest. So we've got a lemon here, and we're going to just zest the outside, that outer zest layer, not the pith. The pith is very bitter, so you don't want to put that part in there. It's definitely very nutritious for you. And our doctors often encourage people to eat it, but it's also very much an acquired taste. So like Raul said, sometimes it takes time to get used to certain flavors. So we'll get this all zested. And then really all we're going to add to this is a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. We'll add a little bit of cilantro, and that pretty much is all that we're going to do with this. If you wanted to get fancy, you could turn it into more of like a guacamole and add a couple other ingredients. But we're gonna go kind of basic today, and I think you'll find that the flavors really pop this way. All right. Here we go. Any other cooking you've been doing lately, Raul, at home, or any special dishes you like to make?
I actually got done last week. So in October, we had a fundraiser event at the food club. And I put in a little raffle to cook a private dinner 4-course for a guest. I actually cooked for a guest. His name is Gordon. He works with stores in and around Grand Rapids to help them to develop their Double Up Buck program. Their money goes a lot farther for their groceries. So that was fun.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I'm just taking a look at this. What we need to do is we're going to also juice this lemon. So I'm going to slice this lemon in half now that I've zested it. And I'm going to put the lemon juice in with the avocado, and we'll give this a little bit of a squeeze. And then we'll juice the last one. And a lot of times when I have these lemon halves left over, I'll throw them in my glass of water, and then I'll drink from that same glass all throughout the day. I just keep adding water to it. It just gives it a really nice citrusy flavor. And it's a great way to use more of the produce than just tossing it out. All right, so now that we've done that, now we have a masher. So we can mash it up. You know, unfortunately, though, I think our bowl is a little bit smaller than we have for avocados. So we can kind of make it the best we can and try to get it on the side. And then maybe even use the knife a little bit to chop it up if needed. All right, so we'll keep mashing this up as we go. And once we have it nicely mashed, then what we can do is we can add in a little bit of cilantro. So if you want to grab a little more cilantro, and we're going to dice it up. Again, I just kind of put it in little bundles, and then we'll chop up the cilantro using both the stem and the leaves. And then we're going to save some of the cilantro and set it to the side because we're going to use it as a garnish at the end. It's going to be that fun garnish that we throw on the top, make it look like a festive little party on a plate. So I'll put some of the cilantro in with the avocado mixture, and then the rest I'll have on the side there. All right, I still got a few chunks here. I can just kind of break them up with my spoon. The nice thing with avocado is when it's really ripe, it mashes really easy. This one is a little bit firm still, so it takes a little bit longer to mash it up. But sometimes I even just put a knife in here and just kind of chop it up, and it gets it a little bit more mashed of a texture for us to work with. All right, now we can add a little bit of salt. So we're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in. And then also some black pepper. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to go ahead and double that because I'd like a little extra kick. You can add more if you'd like, Raul, or just go with a 1/4 teaspoon of the black pepper. All right, this is coming together so nicely. It's going to be a nice, beautiful kind of color contrast with this. All right, do you have everything in your mixture now, Raul? You ready for us to assemble these?
Yes.
All right, so let's put the tray back in front of us with the sweet potato. And essentially what we're going to do to assemble them is just put a little bit of this avocado mixture on each one. And then we'll put some pomegranate on as well. But let's maybe get all these done first. So Raul, do you have any hobbies when you're not working? What do you enjoy spending your time doing?
I really enjoy looking at where food comes from. So when we look at a recipe, we look at, I like looking at where things actually come from. So the sweet potatoes of the New World mixed in with the cilantro and lime of the Old World. that was introduced with trade through many years ago. So it really is a cultivation of things that have come together to create this really nice dish.
Awesome. That sounds fascinating. Yeah, with food, it's like you could read forever about, all the history of food and how food has played different parts in different cultures and history. And yeah, I'm with you. It's fascinating. I also want to ask you, Raul, just given that you do work with, a lot of people, members from Community Food Club, how have you seen some of the members there be impacted by having Community Food Club as a resource for them?
Well, it really is just a point of access. A lot of what I talked to, with our members is food, the food that they grew up with, the food that they've always enjoyed eating as a kid. But now growing up, things are a little bit different. We have to, make life work. So the access at the Community Food Club, I think, is really great. We take the stress out of figuring out what we get to eat, and now we're just talking about food as if it's part of all of us. It brings us together, and it creates stories to let us know a little bit about each other.
Terrific. Awesome. All right. Well, I've got my pomegranate on. I've got the avocado on. The next thing we'll do is I'm going to put a little, I think it's some of this, we have some black sesame seeds. You could use white sesame seeds. You could leave this off if you don't have sesame seeds. This is just showing an example of how to plate a really beautiful appetizer. It doesn't really cost much money to make, doesn't take very much time. It's obviously taking longer because we're showing you all how to make this here today, but as you can imagine, you could knock these out pretty quickly by just slicing up the sweet potatoes, throwing them in the oven, mashing up some avocado, adding a little bit of lemon, maybe even add a little bit of garlic if you wanted, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then, again, this just all goes back to kind of eating with your eyes and having beautiful color when you're eating. We're going to put a little of this fresh chopped up cilantro on top. And if you were in a hurry, you could leave this off. But we just want to show you kind of the full image of what this appetizer looks like in all its beautiful glory. All right. Well, I'm hungry. Yes. I'm ready. Oh my gosh, yours look amazing. I'm so excited. Okay, well, I feel like we should try one. We need to finish up with our beverage. I think you were going to show us the final putting together of your special beverage you were sharing with us today.
Yes.
So maybe if you want to show us how that all comes together in its final form, and then we could maybe enjoy a little sip of that with some of this appetizer here.
All right.
All right, so before we have our final appetizer, I definitely want to see your drink come together in final form. Raul, can you show us kind of how you put that drink together?
Yes, so we started off by simmering all of the ingredients, the peeled pineapple, the peels of the apple, cinnamon, cloves, and purple corn from Peru. Now, we let it simmer for about an hour and a half. We'll strain it, throw it in the cooler until it's completely cooled, and once it's cooled, we're ready to finish the drink. We're going to start off by squeezing one lime into the bowl.
I love that rich color. I didn't think that it would take on so much color like that. That must be from that purple corn.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to take about a tablespoon of agave. And I'm just going to start with the tablespoon because it is going to be sweetened with the diced pineapple and apple that's already in the cup.
And what was the name again for this beverage?
This drink is called Chicha Morada, which
Chicha
translates
Morada.
to purple corn drink.
Ooh, sounds delicious.
Perfect. All right. So I don't need my agave. So next we're going to just dice the apple.
This looks wonderful. I'm so excited to try this. I'm like in suspense of what it's going to taste like. I can't wait. It's not often that I get to try new things. You know, being a chef, oftentimes we tend to have a lot of the same things. We've had so many varieties, you know, throughout working in the culinary world, and this is definitely a new one for me, so I'm excited to experience this beverage. Oh, and even a little bit of pineapple. Wow. Raul is definitely like going all out for this party. I mean, he is not,
Yes.
yeah, you've got it all there. It looks great.
Yes. I grew up with just seeing these amazing parties that my parents used to throw when we were kids at the house. Birthday parties, anniversaries, big celebrations. Let's all get together. It's Friday night. Let's cook and have a wonderful time. And just as a kid, I would see them, the work that they did to throw these amazing parties. Everybody always had an amazing time, and it was always centered around food. You know, we ate, we laughed, we had amazing times, and food was always a great thing to bring us together.
Yeah, it is fun, and food definitely is the center of most parties and most gatherings. You know, it's about the food.
Well,
what food are we
right.
going to have, and you know, what are you bringing? What are you taking? People bring, you know, their best dishes a lot of times to showcase what they can do. It's a great time to try new things.
So now finish.
Wow, this is quite the show here today, Raul. Those look gorgeous. I love it. Looks wonderful. I'm so excited to try that.
All right.
All right, well, salud. Cheers to a job well done. Let's give this wonderful beverage a try. Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it. Great, like nice complex flavors in there. I can taste that apple, that pineapple. It's wonderful. And then how about this appetizer? Should we give this a try? Our sweet potato crostini. Oh. That pomegranate just pops in your mouth. That's delicious. And there's one more thing I know we wanted to share with everyone today. And another hummus. We talked about a special hummus. So we have prepared this ahead of time, but we want to show everybody to talk about it as an example. This is a caramelized onion hummus. I don't know if you can see, but there's onions that we've caramelized. We blended them into the hummus as well as put them on top as a nice garnish. It adds a really nice sweet flavor to the hummus. It gives it a much more complex flavor and just really rounds it out very nicely. And then really serving with all sorts of great cut up vegetables is another great example of fun appetizers you can put out for people where they might be expecting traditional hummus, and when they try this, they're gonna be asking you for the recipe, of which we're gonna share the recipe with all of you. So you can give it a try, and we will share all these recipes with you so you can try this. You can have your own plant-based party at home. We are so thankful that all of you have joined us on this journey around really incorporating more whole plant-based foods in your diet. We hope this has inspired you, given you the education you needed to really continue on your journey towards optimal health. We here at the Lifestyle Medicine Practice, if you want to see with anybody, we have health coaches, physicians, chefs, dietitian, you name it. We've got all sorts of great programming, lots of great cooking classes that we have coming up. So please check out our information online. We'll post the link in the chat so you can connect with us. We'd love to see you in classes. We love familiar faces. We call them our frequent foodies. So please definitely tune in and join us and congratulate yourself. Job well done. Thank you so much. And with that, Raul, I want to give you an extra special thank you for joining us. It was an honor to have you in the kitchen. We're so great to have someone like you here in Grand Rapids who's able to come in and cook with us here in the kitchen. Although we can't be as close, still being socially distanced, we're glad to cook with you. So thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
And thank you for all your great work you do with the Community Food Club. It's a wonderful organization here in Grand Rapids. We're thankful for that type of work and even having those types of resources available to people in need. So with that, I will close and thank everyone. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you all today, and good luck on your health journeys.